Director of the Blue-Green Alliance in the United States. She's just flown in from Washington. Margrete, can you tell me about how the Blue-Green Alliance came together?
Sure. We were started in 2006. We were originally a partnership between the Sierra Club and the United Steelworkers. And we had a history of working together for quite some time. My boss, or I come out of the Sierra Club, and my boss, Carl Pope, who's executive director of the Sierra Club, likens it to us having a bunch of one-night stands with the steelworkers. And then we finally decided we were going to get married. So in 2006, we took the plunge and formed the Blue-Green Alliance, which focused on 4 key issues: climate change and global warming, trade, worker rights, and green chemistry. And what we committed to doing was reaching out within our own organizations to educate our people on our various issues. So for the Sierra Club, that meant educating our members on worker rights and worker conditions, job loss, and manufacturing. For the steelworkers, that meant educating their members on global warming and environmental policies. And we put people on the ground. We engaged our members both on all levels, if you will, from grassroots, rank and file members, all the way up to the top of the union and the environmental group. Since then, we've expanded, and now we consist of 6 groups. So it's still Sierra Club and Steelworkers, but we now also include Service Employees International Union. We include the Communication Workers of America. We include Natural Resources Defense Council, as well as Labor's International Union of North America. So combined, at this point, we have about 6 million members through these 6 member groups in the Blue-Green Alliance.
It's quite a diverse group of people, and it sounds like it comes from 2 very separate streams of people, probably a middle-class group that would be the environmentalists, and the working-class group that would be the union members. How do the 2 groups get along, and how have you brought them together?
Well, you know, it's true. It's 2 very different 2 different constituencies, if you will, 2 different movements. I will say that, you know, we have worked together with unions and environmentalists for quite some time, and oftentimes I think our opponents, you know, gain a lot from making us seem more divided than what we are, because that strengthens their case as well. So I think what we've done is try to make this alliance work on several levels. One, we're not just a paper alliance. The groups of our members really are members. It's the principals of the organizations that sit on the board. They're the ones who make the decisions. So it's Carl Pope, it's Andy Stern, it's Larry Cohen, it's Terry O'Sullivan. It's bought in from the highest level, which is important in terms of making this trickle and make it real. And then we spend a lot of time really going out and educating each other, spending time together, talking about anything from social events to real political rallies and things like that. Because in many cases, our communities don't interact that much. And part of what we're trying to do is build a social movement that goes beyond just our individual constituencies. And that really means nuts and bolts organizing, of getting folks together, getting people together on a regular basis, understanding each other's issues, and being there for one another in a different way than maybe we've done in the past, where maybe you signed a statement, or you were kind of sympathetic. Now you're taking it to the next level. I'll give you an example. For the environmental movement, the Sierra Club, one of our biggest legislative priorities of this year is to pass the Employer Free Choice Act, which is a bill that's in the Congress right now that makes it easier for workers to form unions should they want to. That's not an immediate environmental issue, but through this kind of work that we've been doing for the past few years, we see the connections to how a unionized workforce is better for the environment, how if we're creating these millions of new green jobs, they should also be good jobs, and this is one way that we can make that happen.
Well, really, unions were among the first environmentalists anyhow, were they not? In their workplace?
They totally were, but that's something that people may not know. And that's a story that we want to get out there in terms of talking about how they have been on the front line in a lot of the main environmental victories that we've had, whether it's asbestos or toxic inventories or Clean Air Act and all these different issues. So getting that out there and then also joining them in their fight. So we have tried to take this alliance to the kind of level where people can't really say, oh, it's a clean environment or good jobs, or it's labor or environment. At this point, it needs to be intermingled, and that's really, I think, what we've been doing in the U.S.
So how do you talk to working people about the environment, and how do you talk to environmentalists about working people's concerns?
Well, at the end of the day, I think the main... Oh, I have something here. I think at the end of the day, what unites all of us is the issue of the economy. I think that whether you are, all of us, need to pay our mortgages, our student loans, pay our groceries and so forth. And I think the evolution that I've seen, at least, in terms of how we talk about environmental issues from the Sierra Club's point of view, is really talking about this as an environmental, as an economic opportunity more than anything. I think if you come and talk about climate change and global warming, it's easy to focus on just how daunting the challenge is and how negative it is and how unovercomable almost it is in terms of what we're faced with. But you can flip that and you can say, well, in that challenge lies the opportunity where somebody can get a job weatherizing a home, and somebody can get a job installing windows, and a steelworker who was laid off because of NAFTA can get a job making wind turbines. And when you flip that story and you start talking about the jobs and the economy at the center of what you're trying to accomplish, and then as a bonus, you're also addressing the biggest environmental challenge that we're faced with, that's when you start becoming relevant. And so, we spend a lot of time in states that have, in the U.S., that have been devastated because of bad trade deals, especially manufacturing. You look at what's happening in the construction sector. In the U.S., it's just very dramatic job losses. Just today, the March numbers for unemployment in the U.S. came out, 8.5%, 600,000 jobs lost in March in manufacturing and construction. Well, those are the sectors that really stand to gain from a green economy. It doesn't make sense that we're importing all these wind turbines from other countries. 8,000 parts go into one wind turbine. So it's all these jobs that can be created. And we talk about taking weatherization to scale. You talk about construction jobs. You talk about jobs that people already have. So it's not just some pie in the sky, dramatic new job that you have to go to school for many years. No, these are jobs that are very hands-on, practical. People already work in them. Many have been laid off. But they can get back into work if we make these kinds of investments. So that's really the focus that we have in terms of how we talk about these issues. And then from talking to an environmental point of view, we want to make it, obviously, we have to reduce emissions. We have to step up. We have to put a cap on our pollution. There's no doubt about that. But I think also environmentalists understand that how you distribute the income that comes, how you distribute the new kind of wealth that will be created, if you will, how you make those investments in a way that actually benefit people, benefit communities, and benefit workers is the case that we're trying to make as well.
And what are the main projects and campaigns that you're working on presently?
Well, these are busy times in Washington for sure. So one is working to pass comprehensive climate legislation in the U.S. Congress. We have to step up to the plate. We have obviously been sorely missing for the past 8 years at least, so it's time for us to get back in the game on that. So we just released a statement that kind of lays out what we want to see in climate legislation. Passing the Employee Free Choice Act is important. And then looking at the local level, we want to continue the kind of education that we're doing. In the past couple of years, we reached some 160,000, mainly steel workers, talking to them about global warming and climate change. We want to ramp that up even further and really talk to the trade union movement about climate change and the opportunities that are associated with it. We're also working with state and local officials to try and make this concept of green jobs, the green economy, what is it? What are we talking about? What does that even mean? Try and make that real and work with local mayors, workforce development people, local industries, and so forth to really create concrete plans of how you make that transition, how you make these jobs a reality, how you make this economy a reality. So we also have a program that focuses on that. So we are working on all levels, I would say, from just mass outreach to the grassroots and to the trade union movement to passing climate bill in the U.S. Congress.
It's an exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's busy, but this is our moment. So.